Hello everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another fun video for you. And this video we're going to talk about movie mentors and which characters I believe were the best mentors, tutors, teachers within all of movies. Now when we talk about great movie mentors, they normally are iconic characters from iconic stories. We always refer back to the hero's journey, the protagonist who has to team up and learn and develop their skills in order to overcome the antagonist, the villain, the overall challenge, or the overall enemy. And the mentor remains key in helping the hero through that particular process. Now the best movie mentors always help and guide the hero not only in developing the skills or defeating the enemy, but also in life in general, making them a far better person overall. Now in many ways, the movie mentor is very much of the surrogate father or the surrogate parent, the much more ideal parent that the hero never had or lost early on within their life. The best movie mentors also have amazing abilities or skills, or they're able to achieve great feats throughout the stories. They normally have a talent that is normally superior to the students. That's why they're able to teach them, of course, and they can do things that seem amazing to us as viewers. Now the movie mentor can be anything from a normal trainer, a manager, a wizard, a scientist, male or female, doesn't matter. But what's also key about what makes a great movie mentor is their success rate obtained by the hero or heroine that they are training. How successful was the hero in overall achieving their goal due to the mentor? That's the key, what I believe, as to what makes a great movie mentor. So that's the overall criteria that I will be using within this breakdown. If you disagree with any of the choices within my breakdown, then let me know in the comments, and by all means we can revisit in a further debate afterwards. So without further ado, let's take a look as to whom I believe are the greatest movie mentors. Now the first entry on this list is Malone, or Jimmy Malone, or James Malone, from the classic film The Untouchables. This is of course the great gangster film directed by Brian De Palma. Kevin Costner's Elliot Ness initially struggles to take down Al Capone in the Prohibition era, and all of a sudden on the beat policeman, Malone comes in, teaching Elliot Ness how to really take Capone down using methods sometimes outside the law. Malone is really opening up Elliot Ness's eyes towards all of the bribery and corruption within the Chicago and the police force. Great mentorship throughout. We get fantastic early scenes where we see Malone help Elliot Ness recruit the team, interrogating suspects, and all of these methods Elliot Ness simply needs and wouldn't be able to achieve what he would do without Malone's help. Now of course we get the many teachings, including the iconic scene with Malone and Elliot Ness in a church, and Malone tells them about the Chicago way, where they send your men to the hospital and you send their men to the morgue, taking a blood oath. We have so many great quotes. Another great movie mentor, of course, fantastic performance from Sean Connery as this character, and for me one of the truly great movie mentors within all films. We go on to the next entry on this list, and that is Doc Emmett Brown from the Back to the Future franchise, the wacky, crazy creator of the time travel machine, the DeLorean, aids Marty McFly in his time traveling antics to try and get him back in his present time back in 1985. We have great chemistry between both Doc and Marty, of course. Now Doc is always extremely loyal to Marty, helping him in whatever scenario he gets himself into. This is of course flipped in the third movie, where it's very much Marty that wants to help Doc in his overall troubles. Doc of course is very helpful and integral, and Marty simply wouldn't have a chance in getting back to his own timeline without the help of Doc as well. He may be wacky or may be crazy, but he's also very intelligent, very knowledgeable. We see that throughout the trilogy, particularly in part 2, where he explains the whole methodology behind the time travel in terms of the single time loop and the parallel alternate timelines. So a fantastic, engaging and very charismatic and memorable character, and without that one of the most memorable and iconic mentors within all of movies. We go on to the next entry on this list, and that is Gandalf from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now the long, almost ageless wizard from the legendary Lord of the Rings story, and here in particular the Lord of the Rings films directed by Peter Jackson, still for me the greatest cinematic trilogy of all time, and Gandalf's role is so pivotal throughout all three movies. Of course he's most prominent in guiding Frodo through the arduous task of bearing the ring and beginning his journey to Mordor to help destroy it. Now, of course, without Gandalf, Frodo would have met his demise a lot earlier through the Wraiths attacking the Shire. And Gandalf, as well as teaching him about the mythology and the story behind the ring, he also teaches Frodo about destiny and fate and the importance of making the right decisions. Now, this is primarily in the Fellowship of the Ring, and Gandalf of course performs many amazing feats throughout the whole trilogy in terms of rescuing Frodo. We look in particular at those iconic battle scenes in his fight against Balrog, that scene, you know, the "you shall not pass" before he meets his death, all of his encounters with Saruman. As well as a wizard, he also ends up being a general as he leads the army against a huge attack on Minas Tirith as well. So such a multi-layered, multi-capable character of Gandalf, one of true gravitas and statesmanship and standing. And not only is he a mentor to Frodo, but he's also a mentor to other characters in terms of Aragorn, when he helps him finally face his destinies becoming the King of Gondor, and also with Pippin as well, particularly in Return of the King, where he helps him have a much more substantial role as they go on to face the final battle. So one of the true all-time great movie mentors, a fantastic, incredible performance by Sir Ian McKellen, and without doubt for me, one of the true great movie mentors within all of movies. We go on to the next entry on this list, and without doubt one of the most famous mentor characters in all of movies, and that is of course Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now when we talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, we really talk about him in two sets of movies, of course within the original trilogy of Star Wars and also the prequel trilogy as well. Now we focus very much so on the older version of Obi-Wan, primarily in episode 4, A New Hope. This is his perhaps most iconic role, of course training very young, eager Luke Skywalker on how to use the Force and wield the lightsaber. He was of course assigned with that task, looking out for Luke since his birth early on, which we see was developed from the Revenge of the Sith. And simply put it, Luke wouldn't be anywhere near the Jedi he was without Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan of course guesses this, and that's why he gives in his fight against Vader, knowing that Luke will be the stronger Jedi in the future. And then we link back, of course, when we mentioned Vader earlier on in Obi-Wan's history, where he very much had a mentor role, but this time for Anakin, in particular in episodes 2 and 3, guiding Anakin as best as he possibly could from a youngster growing up, developing his Jedi skills in the various battles against Dooku, learning the fate of his original parents, and coming into clashes with the Jedi in terms of him wanting to be Jedi Master. And of course coming under the eventual seduction of Palpatine as well. Now we could say that maybe that was a failure in Obi-Wan, in the fact that he did fail Anakin. Of course that's what we see in a climatic battle in Revenge of the Sith, but Anakin's fall was very much more, as I mentioned before, due to the influence of Palpatine. But despite this, Obi-Wan in many ways was very responsible and impactful in preserving the presence of the last remaining Jedi, of course, and we would see that further legacy on, passing from Revenge of the Sith to A New Hope as well. So very much one of the most iconic characters within the Star Wars franchise, and also one of the most iconic mentors within all of movies as well. No doubt about it, Obi-Wan rightly earns his place in one of the higher entries within this breakdown. On the next entry on this list, and we stay now very much in Star Wars, and perhaps an even more iconic mentor than Obi-Wan, and that is of course Yoda, the diminutive Jedi who was originally exiled to planet Dagobah from the events of the Revenge of the Sith, is of course an absolute crucial figure in Luke's next phase of training towards becoming a Jedi. And we see this primarily in, of course, The Empire Strikes Back, where we see all of those major scenes of Yoda teaching Luke more about the Force and how to move objects and use more his Force from his mind, as opposed to using the lightsaber, as what we saw with Obi-Wan. And not only as well as using the Force, Yoda would also make Luke much more understanding on how the Force works. We have that very great scene where he shows Luke about the Force, and he tells him that it's everything around us, from the tree and the rock, and it surrounds us everywhere. Very iconic scenes. And not only that, he also makes Luke aware of the dangers of facing Darth Vader when he's not fully prepared. We have that very famous scene as well when Luke encounters that vision of Vader in the cave, where he doesn't heed Yoda's warning. Luke of course doesn't listen, and then goes ahead to try and battle Vader, of course, in an iconic confrontation between the two. Now, we could argue whether that is a failure on the part of Yoda, of course, but many ways it's due to the recklessness of Luke Skywalker itself. And we see other amazing scenes of Yoda where he's able to extract the X-Wing from the water, so once again really transmitting how powerful he is even in this aging phase of his life. So iconic, so quotable throughout with his reverse speech, and many fans within movie fandom and also particularly within Star Wars fandom would have probably deemed Yoda as the most iconic movie mentor within all of movies. I don't have him quite as high as that. I have him close, but maybe he's not the best overall in terms of this breakdown. But no doubt about it, without one of the most iconic characters in all of movies, so influential in the next phase and training of Luke Skywalker, and without question one of the best and most iconic movie mentors within all of film. Now, the runner-up on this list is one that's definitely worthy of the greatest movie mentor within all of films, and that is Mickey Goldmill from the Rocky franchise. Very small and very frail in his size, but massive in terms of his heart and his personality. The original trailer of Rocky, throughout the first 3 movies especially, Mickey is very much the surrogate father of Rocky, showing both a loyalty and very much of a tough life approach, telling Rocky when he makes mistakes, when he needs to fight, when he needs to retire. We have so many great moments throughout all of those 3 films. When we see Rocky at his highest point and his lowest point, Mickey is always there. We see him particularly in Rocky 2 when Rocky goes through the difficult struggles of trying to find a job, when Adrian is in a coma. Those great scenes when he's in the church praying and Mickey stays with him. He gives those fantastic speeches when he's trying to urge him to find the will to fight and don't lay down like some mongrel because Apollo is going to kick his teeth in. Fantastic scenes. We get loads of funny moments from Mickey when Rocky is struggling throughout his training and we see him trying to get him to chase a chicken. Mickey is also a master strategist. He tries to improve Rocky by focusing him on certain changing of techniques, fighting with his right hand, fighting in southpaw. At the same time, he's not too scared to point out Rocky's misgivings, and we get those great scenes on the staircase where he does the eye test of Rocky and he slaps him in the face, telling him that he's not ready to fight. And that's normally what makes such a great mentor in any life. It's not only are they very supportive of the student, but they're also very true in telling the student where exactly they're going wrong and really giving them much more of a reality check in terms of their abilities and how far they can achieve. And that's what makes Mickey such a great movie mentor. Mickey has so many iconic quotes. The classic "Eat lightning and crap thunder" when he talks about Clubber Lang, that he's a wrecking machine. In Rocky 2, when it's all about speed, greasy fast speed. What are we waiting for? Take us, at the climatic part of Rocky 2. So many great moments, and you really do appreciate the huge bond and connection between both Mickey and Rocky. Carries so much weight, so much emotion, really emphasizing for me why Mickey is without question one of the greatest movie mentors of all time. We now go on to the final entry on this list, and who I deem to be the greatest movie mentor of all time, and that is Mr. Miyagi, of course, from the Karate Kid franchise. The former Japanese soldier from Okinawa is now based in Blue Valley, selling flower plants and other merchandise. He first, of course, comes across Daniel when he sees him getting bullied on by the kids at the school party. He then takes him in under his wing and proceeds to train him, not only teaching him about karate, but also how to bring balance overall towards his life. We see him always teaching Daniel lessons throughout all of the 3 films, proven to be why he's so integral figure within Daniel's life, of which would have been far worse if it wasn't for the intervention of Miyagi. We always look at the special techniques for each of the 3 movies, whether it was the crane kick from the first film, the drum technique from the second movie, or the catcher moves from the third movie. We see how much that Miyagi's lessons work within certain iconic scenes, where of course in the first movie he's showing him how to paint the fence, sand the floor, and of course the greatest one of all, wax on, wax off. And we have that fantastic scene where Daniel initially rejects this teaching, and then Miyagi shows him how much all of those lessons come to fruition, where he shows him the fight moves overall. Fantastic to watch. Other great analogies and lessons when he talks about the bonsai tree in the Part 3, having a strong root and can only grow with a strong root. There really is a sense of a almost like a wizard aura and demeanour within Miyagi when he performs certain amazing feats, where we see him breaking the wood in half to help save Sato. In the second film, we have of course the special healing technique that he uses in the first movie to help Daniel from his injury. He has the special liquid that he uses again to help heal Daniel in part 3. So he truly is such a fascinating character, full of charisma, very funny, very charming, and instantly rootable and likeable overall. Again, such a huge emotional bond and connection with Daniel, with so many heartfelt moments that are still impactful today, all the way through to Cobra Kai when we see those flashback scenes overall. And Mr. Miyagi really is the ultimate mentor, a true friend with so many amazing lessons that Daniel fails whenever he doesn't listen to them, and this proves overall why makes Miyagi such a great movie mentor, and for me the most iconic movie mentor within all of film. So number one, the most greatest iconic movie mentor of all time, and for me that is Mr. Miyagi. So those are my overall thoughts, feelings and breakdown of who I deem to be the most iconic movie mentors within all the films. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As I mentioned before at the start of this video, if you have any different choices or you feel I've missed out any special characters within this list, let me know in the comments below, and if I agree with you, then I will make an additional video outlining how special those mentors are within movies as well. So I really hope you've enjoyed this breakdown. You can find other various breakdowns within this channel, and I will leave certain links of those within the description and at the end title card of this video as well. If you have any other suggestions, certain top 10 lists, best of in terms of movies or television series, or any other topic that you feel my channel relates to, let me know in the comments below, and I will see if I can provide an earlier breakdown of those as well. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification and like buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very